What if one of the biggest reasons you're being overlooked for a promotion is the very thing everyone praises you for? You're dependable, reliable, the person who always steps in, the one who quietly keeps everything moving. People tell you all the time, I don't know what I'd do without you. So, why does it feel like someone else gets recognized? Let me tell you something. Being indispensable to the work is not the same thing as being the obvious choice for a promotion. And once you understand the difference, you'll never look at your career the same way again. So, ready? Let's get into it. Welcome to Career Growth for Working Women. If you're feeling tired in a way rest alone won't fix, or successful on paper but unsure what's next, you're not broken. You're not alone. I'm Shannon, a promotion and compensation coach, and this space is about helping women grow their careers with clarity, confidence, and sustainability, not pressure or hustle. Take a breath, settle in, and let's talk about what's really going on beneath the surface. Hello, welcome back to the show. I've been thinking about something this week. Actually, I've been thinking about someone. Or maybe I should say, I've been thinking about a whole group of women because pieces of this story belong to so many of the women I coach. Maybe you'll hear a little bit of yourself in it too. She's the person everyone depends on. If a project starts slipping, people call her. If two departments aren't communicating well, somehow she's the one who gets everyone back on the same page. If a new employee needs help, she makes time. If someone is overwhelmed, she steps in. If there's a problem nobody else wants to solve, she'll figure it out. She doesn't do those things because someone tells her to. She does them because that's who she is. She cares. She takes ownership. She wants the team to succeed. And if you're listening to this thinking, well, that sounds a little like me, I have a feeling you're exactly who today's episode is for. Because women like this become incredibly valuable to their organizations. They're trusted, respected, needed. People say things like, I don't know what we would do without you. She's always the one who figures it out. She's the glue that holds this place together. And every one of those comments feels good, as it should. These comments are recognizing something real. You are creating value. But here's what I've noticed after coaching hundreds of high-performing women. Those compliments can also be a trap, because somewhere along the way, many women begin believing something that feels true, but isn't. The belief sounds like this: if I become indispensable, promotion will happen naturally. If it makes sense, right? After all, you're solving problems, you're helping everyone, taking initiative, making your manager's life easy. Surely the people making promotion decisions are noticing all of that. Most of us want to believe that's how careers work. I certainly wish it worked that way. But here's what I've learned: being indispensable behind the scenes and becoming the obvious choice for promotion are not the same thing. Let me tell you about a conversation I had not long ago. A woman told me she just found out someone on her team had been promoted. She smiled, congratulated them, asked them about their new role. From the outside, no one would have guessed she was struggling. But later, she admitted something to me. She said, I drove home and I was wondering the whole time what I was missing. That sentence stayed with me. Not because she thought the other person didn't deserve it. She actually thought that they did. She just couldn't understand why she hadn't been part of the conversation. She said, I keep thinking, what else do I have to do? And maybe you've asked yourself that question too. Maybe not out loud. Maybe just during your drive home, or while you're making dinner, or lying awake thinking about work when you'd rather be thinking about anything else. What else do I have to do? Here's what broke my heart. As she described everything she'd been doing over the past year, It became obvious that she wasn't lacking contribution. She was leading projects, mentoring teammates, improving processes, stepping into leadership gaps without being asked. She wasn't underperforming, she was overperforming. But almost every example she shared had something in common. It happened quietly, behind the scenes, without much visibility. And that's when I realized she wasn't carrying a performance problem. She was carrying a positioning problem. And those are two very different things. One makes you think you need to work harder, the other invites you to think differently about how your value is being experienced. Let me tell you something. I don't want you working harder. I want your work to work harder for you because your career should support the life you want to build, not compete with it. Now, I know many of you are listening to this while driving. Maybe you're on your way to work. Maybe you're picking up kids from camp. Maybe you're squeezing this episode into one of the few quiet moments you'll have today. The last thing you need is someone telling you to work longer hours. You've already proven you're willing to work hard. That's not the question anymore. The question is, does the impact you're creating match the reputation you're building? Those aren't always the same thing. And I think that's one of the most frustrating realities for high-performing women. You can be creating leadership level value while still being known primarily as the person who's always willing to help. Helping is wonderful. Collaboration matters. Being a great teammate matters. But promotion decisions aren't simply based on who helps the most. They're based on who is consistently seen creating meaningful business impact. That's different. And if no one has ever explained that distinction before, I hope this episode gives you permission to stop questioning your capability. Because from where I sit, capability is rarely the issue. The issue is that your value isn't being positioned in a way that's easy for people making promotion decisions to recognize, communicate, and advocate for. That's the work we need to do. Not changing who you are, not becoming louder, not becoming someone you don't recognize, helping the right people clearly see the value that's already there. That changes everything. One of the things I've learned after coaching hundreds of high-performing women is this. The women who care the most often become the women carrying the most. Not because someone assigned it to them, because they naturally step in. They notice what needs to be done. They solve the problems before they become bigger problems. They care about the outcome. And over time, that becomes part of who everyone believes they are. They're dependable, reliable, the person everyone can count on. Now, if you've been listening and quietly thinking, yep, that's me, I want you to know these qualities are not the problem. They're part of what makes you exceptional. In fact, I often tell women that their greatest leadership impact can also become their biggest blind spot. For example, if your natural leadership impact is achieving, creating momentum and moving work forward feels so normal that you stop noticing how much you're actually accomplishing. Extraordinary results become your ordinary Tuesday. If your leadership impact is developing, you're naturally focused on helping other people grow. You celebrate their progress so consistently that your own growth becomes an afterthought. If your leadership impact is communicating, you're the person bringing clarity when everyone else is confused. You translate ideas, connect people, and move conversations forward because it's easy to you. You underestimate the valuable that contribution is. Those aren't weaknesses, they're leadership. The challenge is that when something comes naturally to us, we rarely think to talk about it. We assume everyone else sees it the way we do, but they don't. And that's where I see so many women unintentionally hiding some of their greatest value. Here's what I mean. Think about the last month at work. How many problems have you solved that no one ever knew existed because you solved them before they became visible? How many difficult conversations have you navigated? How many teammates have you helped? How many projects kept moving because you quietly stepped in? Now, ask yourself this. How much of that would the people making promotion decisions actually know? Not assume, know. Because here's something that completely changed how I think about careers. Being needed is not the same thing as being known. You can be incredibly needed by your team without being known for the strategic impact you're creating. And that difference, it matters because promotions aren't awarded based on everything you've done. They're awarded based on what decision makers clearly understand about the value you create. That's why I spend so much time talking about positioning. Positioning isn't pretending. Positioning is helping other people see what's already true. It's making your value obvious, and your value deserves to be obvious, not because you need attention, because your work deserves the opportunity to create the career you've earned. Let me tell you something. This is the part that gets me fired up. It bothers me when I watch incredibly capable women question themselves, not because they lack talent, not because they lack work ethic, not because they aren't ready, but because no one has ever shown them how to connect the dots between the work they're doing and the value decision makers need to recognize. And that is why I do this work, because I want women to stop carrying invisible value. I want you to become the obvious choice, not the obvious choice because you worked the longest hours, not the obvious choice because you sacrificed another evening with your family. The obvious choice because the impact you create is clear, recognized, understood, and advocated for. That's a very different way to build a career. And it's a career that supports the life you want to build, not one that competes with it. So let me leave you with one small promotion move this week. Think about one thing you consistently do that makes your team stronger. Maybe you're the person who brings calm when everyone else feels overwhelmed. Maybe you're the one solving problems before they become a crisis. Maybe you're building relationships across departments that help work move faster. Maybe you're creating clarity where other people see complexity. Now, ask yourself two questions. First, if I stop doing this tomorrow, who would notice? And second, do people making promotion decisions know this is part of the value I create? If the answer to the second question is no, don't work harder. Help people see it more clearly, because your goal isn't to become indispensable to the work. Your goal is to become the obvious choice for the opportunity. And there's a difference. And once you understand that difference, you'll never look at your career the same way again. Okay, that's it for today. I'll talk to you next time. If today's episode sparked something for you, a question, an idea, or a realization, don't ignore it. I offer promotion strategy calls where we walk through your current role, your goals, and how to position you for your next promotion or raise without burning out or overworking. You can book that call using the link in the description. And if this episode helped you, sharing it or leaving a quick review makes a bigger difference than you know. Until next time, keep showing your value clearly. You've earned it.